Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you've been following me for a while, or perhaps you've seen me on other social media, you'll know that a lot of what I do is share from my personal experience, because when I was struggling, crippled with anxiety and depression and low confidence and low self-esteem, I really thought that I was the only person in the world who was feeling these things. I really, truly did. And it was only when I started to talk to people about it that I realized that, crikey, no, so many people also struggle with these things. And so I'm using my social media to kind of be honest and open about my experiences, but with a view to sharing also the things that helped me, because it's my intention that there may be somebody watching this video today who might be feeling like I was, but that can actually, they can take, even if it's just hope from this video and the others that I've done, or some actual strategies and some things to think, right, I'm going to go and try that then, and hopefully that will help. And so this is what I'm about, really. I just, so I share from the heart, and I'm just honest and open, because I don't see the point in not being that way, to share my message. And so today I want to talk to you about confidence, and how, I've never been a super confident person. I'm quite shy, and I would say I'm an introvert as well. I'm the person at a party who kind of stays in the background. I love to watch people. I love to be around people, but I don't I don't particularly like being in the middle of everything. And so I've always felt through my experiences that that was a bad thing. I've kind of, through poor choices of relationships and things, I've been criticized a lot. I've been compared to other people a lot. If I've not wanted to do things, I've been told that I'm miserable then, or, what's wrong with you? Why don't you want to do that thing? I even once, um, somebody I was with at the time actually stopped a conversation with a whole bunch of people saying, "Oh, would you like to say something?" And I was just like, "No." And I was really put on the spot, and it was awful. And I just remember those feelings. And you just want to curl up and just crawl into a corner. And so I've had to work on that, because I did want to be more confident, but also I needed to accept who I was and how I was. And for me, that was the biggest thing. It was not seeing like my shyness and my being an introvert as a negative thing. And it took me a long time. And so having a lack of confidence and being kind of naturally shy and quite lacking in self-esteem as well, they kind of all, for me, they're very interconnected. It held me back. It stopped me from doing things. It stopped me from speaking up when perhaps I did have something to say, but then I think, no, because people will just think I'm stupid or boring or dull, or who wants to listen to me, because these are the things that I'd been told. And so they go in, don't they? We take them on board and we believe them to be true. And that's how I felt. And I thought, do you know, I do want to feel more confident in myself, but also I do want to be doing things that at the moment I just can't. So I had to be, I had to be aware of that, and I had to do some work. I had to find a way. And if you followed my story, my whole journey has been me kind of squirreling away in the background, thinking, right, okay, I want to be able to do this, or I need help with this. Where do I go for that then? How do I get help? And finding the things. And the reason why I coach now and the reason why I share these things is so that you don't have to. You can just follow me. You can just listen to the things that I share. And I've done all the reading books and searching through things, you know. And it took me an awful long time. Again, if you know my story, it was a good 6 years from my breakdown to where I actually felt that, you know, do you know what? I accepted myself for who I was. I loved myself for who I was. And that I felt like I was in control and that I could do the things that I wanted to do. And that if I didn't want to do something, that that was okay. Because not everybody wants to do everything. And if I don't want to do something, it isn't because I'm miserable, it's just because I don't want to do it. Or maybe it's not the right thing for me just now. And that's okay. And so here are the 5 things that I want to share with you today that I did that really, really helped me to turn that round for myself. So I had to do a lot of work on me, like I've said, because I didn't like myself. I used to think, oh, what is wrong with me? Why aren't you like this? Why can't you be? I used to compare myself to other people. Think, why can't I be like her? She's doing all of these things. Why can't I be? Oh my God, you know? And so I needed to kind of go inward and look at me. And I needed to start to recognize the positives that were within me and not just focus on the negatives. I think it's really easy when we're in that negative cycle that we're very good at highlighting the things that you're not doing or perhaps not very good at, or, you know, all of that stuff. But we don't look at the things that we are doing well, the things that we do that are great, or the positive things. And so I had to do an awful lot of work on that. And so for me, that started with my daily affirmations, and I still do them to this day, where every day I write down 5 positive statements about myself. Now, bearing in mind, when I started doing this, I mean, I was depressed and I was crippled with anxiety. And if you'd have said to me back then, write down 5 things, in fact, somebody did, or I read it somewhere, right? I think it was 3 things, but I always do things in 5. But, you know, write down 3 positive statements. I mean, I was scratching my head and thinking, well, that there aren't anything. I can't think of 3. I couldn't think of one, really. And it was a real like, oh my God. And even that in itself made me think, really? I can't think of anything positive to say about myself. Wow, that's quite telling. And so even just that realization made me think, right, okay, I need to sort this out. This isn't right, you know? And so this is what I do. So every day without fail, Christmas Day, when we're on holiday, it doesn't matter. 5 positive statements about myself. And I also write down 5 things, again, following my theme of 5 things that I've done well. Because again, back in the day, my chatter, you'll recognize my chatter there, would convince me that there was nothing. And especially if you've got other people around you saying, oh my God, I can't believe you can't do that, or you're not doing that, you're miserable, you're boring, you're quiet, you're shy, you're this, you're that, and it's all negative. That again, it's easy to get wrapped up in that and think, well, I'm not doing anything well because I'm just getting constantly criticized, or people are just constantly telling me how rubbish I am, or even this is just constantly telling me how rubbish I am. And so I had to turn that round and I had to focus not on those negatives, but on the things that I'm actually doing well. And again, back in the day, scratching my head, what am I doing? And even, I mean, don't trivialize either the things that you do. So, for example, back in the day, obviously we homeschool Chloe now, but she used to go to school. And so every morning she would have breakfast, she would have on clean clothes and get to school on time. And I think sometimes these sorts of things, we just do them and we're just like, well, yeah, it's what we do. When as a mum, I kind of felt that that was my role and that's what I have to do, it's my job kind of thing. But it's still something that we did every day. And even when I was depressed and even when I couldn't leave the house, I still made sure that Chloe had a breakfast. She had clean clothes on. She never went to school with like dirty clothes, and she was always there on time. And she always, you know, she would always have her homework done and reading. She would do her spelling. She would have everything she needed for school, you know. And so I'm sharing this because sometimes we pass over that stuff and we just kind of think, well, yeah, I'm not going to, you know, celebrate that because it's kind of what I need to do. You know, sometimes it's easy not to do it though, but you're still doing these things. And so remember to recognize everything that you're doing well, or things that are going well. And it might be you've provided food for the family this evening, you've cooked a meal, and it doesn't matter what that meal is, but you've cooked and provided food for the family. There you go. That's something as well. So we're tempted to kind of, you know, brush over those little things and go for, well, you know, I didn't save the planet today, therefore it's been a rubbish day. Well, not at all. But, you know, what have you done within your environment then? I also started to follow people on social media who were also like me. Because what I found was, and it didn't help at all. I mean, social media is amazing, isn't it? I mean, I love it. You know, I'm using it. I use it every day. I use it all the time. But also, it can have a bit of a negative effect on us because if we're following people who we're then comparing ourselves to and then feeling, you know, it's kind of compounding those feelings of, well, I'm not like them, or I'm not as pretty, or I'm not as this, or I'm not as that. It's not really a great environment then. And so what I did was I started to, even just by searching, like, if you like, keywords, you know, like confidence, shyness, being an introvert, to see who was talking about those things, and started following those people who were on social media saying, I'm a shy person. And then from listening to them and thinking, oh my God, it's not just me. Wow. And they're embracing it. Wow. I never thought to embrace it. I've been beating myself up for years, wishing I could be different. I don't need to wish that anymore because look at these amazing people. And so these were people who inspired me, who I felt a connection with, even though, you know, some of them I didn't know, but who, oh, that in itself was just so powerful for me because I didn't feel like everybody else was, you know, out there extroverted and all the things. And here was me in the corner, like just not participating. You know, it was amazing. And so look for people. If you're feeling things, look for people to follow who are talking about those things, because the chances are if they're talking about those things, it's because that's true for them too. Um, I also used CBT. I talk about CBT a lot. It played a massive part in my recovery, if that's the right word. And so I used CBT to challenge those negative thoughts that I was having about myself. And there were lots, as I've said. And so there's a really great exercise that I came across that I still use to this day, and I share it now in my coaching with other women. And it's just based on, you know, is that thought or feeling based on fact? Or is that just something that, you know, is it just a worry of yours? Or is it just your chatter telling you that that's true and it's not really? And again, it was that, you know, because, for example, and this is such a common thing, I speak to women about this all the time, that I wouldn't want to walk into a bar on my own or in the first person, like if I was with people, to go in first, because I felt that other people would kind of turn, like, who's that just walked in? And that they'd be looking at me and going, oh my God, state of her, what's she wearing? Oh, look at her. And be all negative about me, which made me not want to do that. And like I say, I talk to women about this all the time. And so when I was doing this exercise, this fact or fiction exercise, it was kind of like, okay, I think it's a natural reaction. A door opens, people will automatically look. But do I know that they're looking at me and thinking like, oh my God, what is she wearing? Look at the state of her hair. Oh my God. And creating this negative judgments about me? Do I know that for a fact? Is anybody actually saying, oh, look at the state of you? The chances are no, because, people aren't that brave, really. The people who do that about other people tend to do it quietly because they're not that brave to actually come up to you and go, oh my God. So then I thought, well, okay, so I don't know then that that's what people are thinking. In which case, why am I not walking into bars then on my own? Or it doesn't have to be a bar. It could be a restaurant. It could be a social club. It could be a meeting. We go to events through our other businesses. At times we go to other business meetings. And again, I would feel really self-conscious about walking in and that people would be looking and going, you know, but then just that thought process of, but I don't know that that is really what people are thinking. Do you know, it's that questioning, isn't it? It's that, okay, maybe that's not true then. Maybe that's just me telling me that. Or maybe somebody's told me that, but that's just because they're mean. Because, people who say that to you are mean. And that's on them, not you. And so it kind of, it helped me to change that thought process. One step on from that, I used to then think, okay, so I don't know if they're thinking, oh my God, negative stuff. But what if they're thinking, oh, look at her. I love her hair. I love what she's wearing. Or even, wow, she's just coming here on her own. Crikey. How how confident is that? That's amazing that she's done that. I didn't have the guts to come in here on my own. I had to bring my friend with me today. Look at that. She's coming here on her own. I think she's amazing. How do I know they're not thinking that? I don't, probably. Because again, they're probably not, strangers aren't probably going to come home and go, oh, I think you're amazing. You just walked in here on your own. So again, I don't know if that's true either. But actually, if I think that that's what they're thinking and that helps me to walk in confidently, well, I'm going to go with that thought process then, because that really helps me because I don't know either way. So I don't know if that makes sense, but it's really helped me massively. And I know when I've coached that to other women who've also struggled in similar things, that it's helped them. It's changing that negative perception. Is that true? I don't know. Or no, actually, because nobody's ever said. It's the same doing presentations. A lot of people get anxious about doing that and thinking, oh, people are going to think I'm boring or rubbish or whatever. It's okay. Has anybody ever said that? No. Okay, well, then you don't know that that's true then. In which case, do a presentation then and then ask for feedback and then you'll know. And then if there are elements that people go, actually, yeah, it could have been a bit more like this, take it on board, do it constructively, ask people that you trust, and then make those changes. And that's how we improve. So yeah, try that and see if that helps. Hopefully it will. I also considered my environment and who I was associating with. And this is something that can feel a bit awkward, really. But I did notice and I did realize that some of my environment wasn't helping me, that it was almost adding to my feelings of, you know, my insecurities, I guess, are based on my shyness, my lack of confidence. People who were, doing all these amazing things and very chatty, and I never seemed to be part of the conversation, and I just felt like a bit of an outcast, really. Have you ever done that? Have you ever been with a group of people who just think, I don't fit in here? And I became more aware of that there were certain groups that I just really felt, and I would come away just feeling rubbish. And then thinking, well, why am I doing this to myself? Because I'm not getting anything from this. And I'm not saying that, it's all about you and you've got to get everything. But if you're coming away from a situation feeling bad about yourself, you've got to question whether that situation is the right environment for you. And that's what I did. And there were some people that I had to distance myself from. Some of them just for a bit because I needed to sort my own kind of thoughts out and I had to work on myself. Some of them it became a more permanent thing, not through falling out or anything like that, but you kind of think actually, because there were people in my world who just continued to put me down, really. And I don't know if it was done nastily, but there'd be like little comments thrown in that I would just think, oh. And of course, when my confidence was low, I would just think, oh God, is that right? Oh no. And my overthinking brain would then just start chewing on it. And oh my God. And again, through this self awareness that I was doing, it's like, actually, it's not very nice that they're saying these things. And I'm carrying this on with me. I've said for years, if you knew that what you said to the next person that you speak to, what you say to them could stay with them for the next 20 years, would you still say the thing? Because that's what I've done. I've had people say things to me and it's just stayed in a negative way, and it's had a real negative impact. So I say this all the time, like, just choose your words carefully. You might think you're being funny or whatever, but it might just hurt somebody and make them feel, Anyway, so I considered my environment and made changes where I felt it was necessary. And then the final thing that I did was I just started to step outside my comfort zone. And when you think about it, everything within your comfort zone was once something that you hadn't done before. Just think about that. For me now, sitting here recording this video, there was a time where there's no way I would have been sitting with a camera on. First of all, I wouldn't even be on anything, never mind with my camera on. And then to step that up to now having a camera on, to then sharing and putting this out for the world to see, that's way outside. It used to be so far away. I remember a business mentor of mine years ago saying about going live on Facebook, and I was just like, oh, no chance, never. I go live all the time now, but that's because I've started to just push myself, just very gently. And so my comfort zone has now expanded a bit. And so you get comfortable where you are and then think, okay. And even recently, there's been, again, if you followed me, I ended up going to Florida last year and being interviewed on Fox TV. I mean, crikey, that was way out of my comfort zone, but I was kind of like, ooh, I'm going to do that because I'm passionate about what I was talking about. But also just as a personal, wow, I talk about comfort zones a lot. Here's one for me. This is a biggie. I'm just going to do it. And, there you go. But we've got to remember that we have to celebrate those small wins, and again, don't be fooled into thinking like, oh God, that's such a little thing. Like, again, we do business Zooms and things as part of our other businesses. And like for me, I would go on the Zoom, no camera, wouldn't speak. And then eventually I would put my camera on, but wouldn't speak, And so these were gradual things. And so for some people who would be straight away, camera on, chatting away, no problem, don't be fooled into thinking that, if putting your camera on is like, put my camera on a Zoom today, that's amazing. Don't minimize the positive effect of that. Do you know what I mean? Don't compare yourself to that person who just isn't bothered and has always had the camera on and is quite happy chatting, because they will have things outside of their comfort zone as well. And so what I'm trying to say is, very badly, is if it's outside of your comfort zone but you've done it, brilliant, celebrate it. Because that in itself will help to build your confidence and think, oh, okay, I put my camera on. Because it's always that fear of, oh no, that's going to be terrible if I put my camera on. And then kind of think, is it? Why is it? I'm going to try it. And then afterwards think, okay, so what happened then? Did like the world cave in because I put my camera on? No. Oh, did I quite enjoy it? Actually, it was all right. I'm going to put my camera on the next one, you know? And that's how we build our confidence. And we've got to remember to celebrate all of those little wins. Remember, too, one of mine after my breakdown was putting 2 feet outside my garden. To some people, I know for a fact, there were people I talked to blew their mind that I was like, oh, I actually stood outside my garden. They were like, okay, bit weird. Well done. Why are we celebrating this? Massive for me. And I did celebrate it. I ran inside and was like, oh, I went outside the garden. I'm going to do that again tomorrow. So, yeah, just remember that. So I hope this has helped you today. I really do. I hope if you're feeling like I used to do, that I've given you some things that I shared, that I did, that really helped me, that I continue to do. Sometimes there are things where I just feel a bit less confident and I revert to these things and I think, right, okay, how am I going to get past this, you know? And so, as always, it's my intention to actually give you things that you can then go off and implement. I'd love to share, I'd love you to share, anything that you do that helps you. We can all help and support each other. I'm sharing all the things that I've done, but if there's anything that you've done that's helped, please share in the comments below. In the show notes around this video, I will share with you links to my Facebook support group and other really useful resources for you. So please have a look. I'd love you to like this. It just helps the message get out there. It helps more people because I know that there will be somebody out there who needs to see this today. And of course, please share this video with your friends or anybody that you think it might really help them today. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate you being here. Take care and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.